Okay, let's quickly dive into the tools that we use to analyze a deal. I'm gonna use this 7-unit building. A lot of times when we're going over the multifamily buildings, there's a key indicators and a cost per unit versus like how much cash flow per unit that we need to be looking at. So let's quickly walk you through exactly how we analyze the deal and what numbers that we're looking at, so you can have a basic understanding of how we can run the numbers pretty effectively. This one, 2359 Noble Road. Again, when we're running this deal, the very first thing after passing through a lot of checkpoints, neighborhoods, the cities and all that stuff, right? Maybe right now, okay, this is the right location and we want to see whether or not the number actually makes sense. So the very first thing that we will do is we'll plug in all the numbers, and with deal check you can actually import the public number. It doesn't mean that those numbers are going to be accurate, but at least you can get a rough idea of what those numbers are. And then once you get in there, it's just line by line for you to kind of figure everything else. So in this case, I'm going to skip all that stuff and just have the number plugged in here already. So the very first thing that you want to look at is the cash on cash return. So COC 15.8%. A lot of like on the market deal that you're going to look at is probably going to be ranging about 6, 7, 8%. Tier 3 city. If it's tier 1, typically cash on cash return is going to be much lower. Okay, sometimes you might see 2 or 3%. Those are the numbers that you want to pay attention to. The moment that it's over 10%, it's kind of like a private lending already. If everything flows the way that you're predicting, then you're getting a very decent cash flow. And on top of that is going to be a appreciation, mortgage paydowns, and all the other stuff. So this is usually the first thing that we need to look at. Obviously, cash is needed. A lot of times, like financing, creative financing can kind of breach that. So I normally don't pay too much attention to that. To identify whether or not a deal is a deal, really is on this number. So for the financing side, there's going to be a loan to cost, which is a loan to value. 65% loan to value usually means that it goes up to the after repair value. So in this case, when we're qualifying for the mortgage, it's going to be at the present value, which is your offer value, offer price. We'll use 65% for a deal like that. In some cases, you can go 75%, 80%, depending on the lenders that you're using. So in this case, 65%, interest rate 7%, and you kind of just keep going down here, plug in the rent. In this case, we're using 1050 market rent for all 7 units. And then we always budget 5% of vacancy in here. In some cases, you might need to budget up to like 8%. And there's also a bunch of different operating, expense. So there's a breakdown for property tax, insurance, property management, maintenance, and all the other stuff. It's really important to make sure all the lines are plugged in effectively. After everything's done, what you're going to see. So cash on cash returns the very first one. The second thing would be equity accumulation. So when I'm looking at this, I want to know exactly how much I could grow this portfolio from the amount of money that I need to put in there and how much more equity I can actually build in first year to maybe like year 3. Just have a quick look at this one. Okay, so cash needed is 222K is because when we're doing the 35% down payment, the down payment is going to be 164K plus the rehab cost that we budget for this building, 44K. So very light renovation. It's not going to be all the units, but it's going to be like adding up to be about 44K plus some carrying costs. That adds up to be 222K. With that 222K, we want to kind of find ways to increase the value up to 367K. Part of the reason why we're able to do this is because number one, the buying price is so much lower, and by playing with the cap rate, adding a little bit more income and minimize a bit of an expense, what we can do is that we can create that spread, which is a value add equity. So we got a building equity on closing. So got a good deal, building equity plus the value add approach, which force appreciate the building. That's how we were able to turn 220K into 367K. That also increases the 220K. So this is a model that we like to use. And also on top of that, just keep in mind that appreciation is only 3%. Depending on the market, sometimes the appreciation can be budgeted at 5%, 6%, depending on where you are. And outside of this analysis, you can also try to figure out if you want to sell this building, take out the entire equity. You just need to budget about the realtor fee, the closing fee, and this will give you the net proceeds, sales proceeds, after everything. Okay, and gives you first year 139K. If you don't touch it, the next year will be 197K, 258K, and this is really how the compound effect really takes into place for this piece of real estate. And if you want to go a little bit further, this tool will allow you to also look at, the equity over time, and all the other stuff. So I'm not going to go into too much details in here, but this is basically how we run a lot of our numbers, a lot of deals, just based on the sales comps, ARV estimates. It creates a very nice chart for every single one of the deals that we do. And it really provides that accuracy before we start placing an offer. Okay, and just want to give you one more example in here. Let's say we do this fourplex. Just quickly look at this one. Cash on cash returns 15.4%, cap rate is 12%, cash flow, okay, it's decent, 1200, but really the main thing here is still the percentage right here. Loan to cost is 65%. We never actually budget too much. If you can get more, great, but we want to run our number very consistently. So a fourplex is really going to cost you about 230K in some parts of Cleveland. And then when you run through all the numbers, this is going to be a very profitable deal. If I just go into the equity side, the building equity is going to give us additional 30K. So cash needed is about like $98,000, and then the total equity after year 1 with 3% appreciation is going to be 127K. So we really love the cross-border investing for the equity capture model because you buy at a discount rate, you do a bit of value add, you really create that spread. It's really kind of like just allocating your saving account into a property, significantly push that equity up, and that becomes your new saving income. And if you don't touch the equity, what you can expect is a 15K per year in cash flow, which is about $1,200 per month. And year two, with the ring appreciations and all that stuff, you're going to continue to get more. This is why we love real estate, a lot of flexibility. And obviously, in order for you to get this type of property, there's also creative financing. There's so many different ways that you can actually own a building and just let it sit and grow over time. So if you're interested in learning more of those deals, reach out to us. Happy to share another maybe 3-4 deals so that you can have a basic understanding of how this model works.